Welcome one and all to Ramble Reacts. Luke Moore, what a game! What a game! Aston Villa 3, Liverpool 3.
I could have put my house on you doing some kind of Duran pun in the intro there, like, and we're hungry like the wolf, or save a prayer for Spurs, or something like that. Could have done any of those.
I feel they've all been done
Come to me if you can't think of one. Just come to me first. That's all I'm asking.
No, do you know what, Luke? Even I didn't bother. There wasn't even low-hanging fruit. The fruit was on the ground. It had been half-eaten. Some of it had been trampled on, and I
shove it in your gob then.
And I
come on, shove it in your gob, and let's all get on with it.
Okay. Well, I'll have a little think.
Are you hungry like the wolf or not?
Evidently not. If I'm letting all this crushed fruit bypass me.
Exactly.
But what a game it was, Luke. Your immediate thoughts?
End of season, chaotic affair, all sorts going on, difficult to predict, looking like it's getting towards the end of a very long season, particularly for Villa. I was so surprised. I mean, I know we'll come on to this, but I was so surprised they were able to pull something out of the fire, because if you look at for a number of reasons, the first one being that they started both halves so badly. 2 minutes in, Martinez makes that incredibly bad error of concentration. And at the start of the second half as well, Kwanzaa scored to be fair, it was a brilliant header, but I mean, they would have liked to have not conceded from a situation like that. And they've looked cooked for a while now, Villa. I mean, if you look at they are a better team objectively than Olympiacos, and they were pretty much comprehensively outfought and outbeaten in the Conference League across two legs. They were not battered, but they were kind of dominated by Chelsea, and it's only Chelsea's own frailties that meant Villa could rescue a draw at home. And they lost to a really, really out of form Brighton team as well. And you think, okay, the situation they're in is they are praying they've picked up enough points already to finish fourth. Yeah. And then Liverpool are D-Mob happy, but in a positive way. I mean, they're going to finish third, whatever happens. They want to give Klopp a good send-off, blah, blah, blah. And you thought once it went 3-1, you thought, okay, that's it. It's going to be, like I say, whether Villa have had enough points already, because I couldn't see them getting anything from a resurgent Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park on the final day. Then they pulled that out of the fire. It was a chaotic game. No one was in control. The sheer amount of disallowed offside goals and incidents and kind of just general incompetence marked it out as either a first game of the season or a final week or two of the season, and it was certainly that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I thought that at 3-1 Villa had come undone.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Were you looking those up while I was talking?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think you probably were, weren't you?
We'll get on to Duran's, when he scored that goal, it was the reflex. But look, you wanted them, you got them. All right.
Yeah, I wanted them ready. I didn't want you to make me feel for 3 minutes so you could find a couple.
All right, okay. Well, better late than never.
Yeah,
everybody. I think you could.
That's what Villa probably said.
Well, indeed.
Yeah.
But it was. I think you summed it up there quite nicely. And what was nice as well is that what a display of Premier League action for Big Tom Hanks.
It's box office. It's blockbuster stuff.
Yeah, it is.
I love the fact that directors who are covering Premier League games. It's the world's biggest sport. It's the most successful league in football, and football is the world's biggest sport, right? It's the greatest, one of Britain's greatest exports. Okay, I know you're going to correct me there and say England. I know it's the English Premier League, but it's one of Britain's great exports.
I wasn't going to correct you. And Scotch whiskey is one of Britain's.
It makes a fucking change. And the director cannot resist. The director's sitting there going, You know Tom Hanks was in this crowd, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we know that. Maybe show him before the game and just leave it at that. The footballers are talking, we're cutting to him every single time something happens.
Yeah. What I love, though, is that Tom Hanks has really followed through with this Villa supportership stuff. If you remember, a number of years ago, he talked about... He said he was an Aston Villa fan years ago, and then on the Graham Norton show...
Right.
He talked about how he was over here once and... He said he was watching the football scores come in or something, and he found some of the place names funny, because it's, they're not called like the Birmingham, bastards or whatever they'd be called in America, and so he said Aston Villa, that sounds like a lovely place, And he went there and he went, you know what? It is. And he said, I've pinning my colours to the mast. And I love that. And he was there and he was celebrating. Where was old Davy Cameron, a.k.a. the Pie?
David Cameron is a pie, of course.
Where was
Lord
he?
Cameron is a pie, by the way, now.
Yeah, true. To be fair, he's actually got quite a lot on his plate at the moment.
For a pie.
Prince William,
Prince William is kind of, what's he in between? Prince William does genuinely seem to quite like football.
Yeah, more of a rugby man.
But David Cameron forgot that he supported Aston Villa in a speech, didn't he? He started talking about West Ham for a bit because they wear the same kit.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So in terms of like celebrity fans of Aston Villa, the bar is pretty low. But Tom Hanks is over that bar, and that's what you can ask for.
I think it's high with Tom Hanks, surely.
No, but I'm saying he's the only one.
Prince William. I think we've got to give it to the Prince. Future King. Have a bit of respect.
Yeah,
right?
fine. Sorry about that.
Yeah. One of Britain's greatest exports is the idea of the kingdom.
I think if you do Ramble Reacts and you get Tom Hanks, Duran Duran, and a game like that, you're laughing. Sometimes I'm sitting there thinking, what are we going to talk about? And even now, when we've loads to talk about, we're still setting fire to all the content, just talking about shit. So it's good that people get a consistent output from you and I.
Well, no, I think you summed it up so well, Luke, that it feels like the rest of the day is Mufti Day. You know, we're just watching old videos and stuff like that.
End of the season for us as well, isn't it?
Indeed. The scoring started very early on with a very rare mistake from Emi Martinez, and quite an interesting stat about Emi Martinez, because he's now scored 3 own goals in the Premier League, which is the most of any goalkeeper in the competition's history.
Which is surprising, because goalkeepers tend to be long-serving compared to their outfield counterparts. Yeah. And there's also that thing that happens quite a lot, or it seems like it happens quite a lot, where someone absolutely rasps one from miles out, hits the bar, hits the back of the keeper and goes in. Now, understandably, but in my view quite harshly, that's always given as an own goal to the keeper, even though it's got nothing to do with it. And you would have thought that would have happened a lot more. 3 seems like a low number to me for that to be the case.
I couldn't agree more. I started thinking of goalkeepers, and I thought, surely David James, somebody like that. Calamity
Sticking
James.
the boot in at JMO straight away.
I shouldn't be doing that. I shook the man's hands once. The only
the FA Cup for Portsmouth. Have a bit of respect on that man's name.
Yeah, no, definitely. You're right. Former England international. I mean, those hands of his as well, only bettered by the hands of Chris Eubank that I've shaken.
So are you talking about the quality and strength of the handshake?
The whole lot.
Yeah,
5 stars out of 5.
And Chris Eubank's the only one that kind of rivals him of hands you've shaken.
6 stars out of 5.
Okay, very nice. And what about when that time you met Michael Portillo?
Didn't shake his hand.
Oh, he was annoyed with you, wasn't
he? It was in Poland, and he was filming. He had a little gold blazer on, and he was filming his little railway program.
Is that what you called it? That's probably why I didn't want to shake your hand. Oh, you're doing your little railway program, are you, Portillo? Pathetic.
Yeah. Oh, I liked it when you lost your seat. He did correct me. Actually, I said, I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of The Week, and he went, This Week, and I went, yeah.
So neither of you coming out of any credit from that exchange.
What a dreadful exchange it was.
You're a big fan of it, even though you can't name it, and he's correcting you. It's pathetic.
Yeah, and then I hit him with a kielbasa and I ran off.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way to finish it.
It is.
Do you think? He might have had a pretty damp handshake for all you know, though.
For all I know, but I think it's best that I didn't know.
It's true.
Quite frankly.
So going back to the original point you were making, which was that Martinez has done what he's done. Like sometimes you do see goalkeepers now. They're so set upon getting ready to start the attack, the counter-attack, to distribute the ball, and that's a real key part of what they do these days. And Martinez is actually one for that. You saw him a few times, even tonight, like grab the ball, claim it, and then leg it to the edge of the penalty area, like ordering people around where he wants to distribute it. Like Pickford does it a lot as well. But actually that error there was just he's caught super cold. It was a brain fart, and it just that was nothing to do with that. The most famous one of those, I think, is the Karius one in the Champions League final for Liverpool against Real Madrid, where he tries to get ready to distribute, takes his eye off the ball completely, and obviously goes through his hands. That wasn't one of those, but it really did. It's got to make things hard for Aston Villa because, as I said, neither team was really in control. And it's remarkable how Villa have looked so tired, and they started both halves so badly. They still came back and got something out of the game.
Do you not think at times Liverpool were on top? I mean, at 3-1,
But I don't think they're in control of it. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, Villa were beginning to drift a little bit. And Martinez
look at like half an hour in though, Marcus. Look at that Diego Carlos miss. They're queuing up to score that.
Yeah. I mean, that was a shocker. Ollie Watkins must be right pissed off. What is he on, 19 league goals this season?
And he had another one which was narrowly disallowed for offside, whereas if he had let the player run from deep take it, it would have been a goal. The Diego Carlos thing, it is a terrible miss. But if you look at it again, he kind of give him a little bit of a pass because he doesn't expect the ball to come across because Alisson looks so big. He thinks Alisson's going to stop it or deflect it. And it somehow squirms underneath Alisson. And I don't think he can react quickly enough. And I think because he isn't a striker, he's not... The difference between like maybe midfield players and players who don't attack as much than the strikers who are basically tasked with goal scoring, who are brilliant finishers, they always expect it to happen, even if it doesn't happen 9 times out of 10. Do you know what I mean? They're always there.
Yeah, totally.
And Watkins would have absolutely 100% scored it in my view. But it was it'll go down as an absolutely abysmal miss.
Yeah, well, it does. I mean, what did they say? The XG was 0.97 on it.
So it was 96 or 97 times out of 100. That's a goal according to XG. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. Those strikers are always or good strikers, they're alert. You put yourself in that position. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he'll be gutted with that. Yuri Tielemans did get on the score sheet, and we know Tielemans, lovely player, great striker of the ball.
Yeah,
and he certainly did for that equalising goal.
He did. It was a kind of Yuri Tielemans-esque goal by Yuri Tielemans, wasn't it? It was like exactly the kind of thing you expect from him. He's just a classy operator.
He is, yeah.
He looks good on the ball. He looks good. His movement's great. He glides around, and the thing was, Liverpool scored a second goal after about 22 minutes. The Gakpo one. Because it kind of felt like, I guess what I keep coming back to saying, like neither team were in control, that error happens really early on in the game. Then Tielemans scores that lovely one. And then not 10 minutes later, Gakpo scores. And you think, this could be anything. This could be anything here.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by not being in control. And I think with Tielemans being able to score goals like that, I mean, he's always going to be able to score goals like that. I mean, it's just part of what he is. But what I've kind of noticed about Villa recently is they've got like 1 clean sheet in their last 11 games. When they're at their best. I'm not saying they've kept a massive amount of clean sheets this season because I don't think they have. But at their best, they have defended pretty well as a unit. And they just look so tired now that they're not able to control it and do that. And what actually happened was, in the second half, the way that they were able to get back into the game was really a story of substitutions, because Klopp makes 4 substitutions in about a minute, and they lose, even though they're 3-1 up at that point, they kind of lose control themselves, and then the substitution that Emery makes a huge difference. Now, I'm not suggesting that was some parts on ground master plan, because it sometimes just works and sometimes it doesn't. I'm not saying that he thought he's going to put John Duran on, he's going to score 2 goals inside 5 minutes and that'll be that. He's obviously hoping for that, but it was one of those games and one of those nights where you felt anything could happen. And I genuinely thought when it went 2-1 after 23 minutes, I thought this could be a cricket score here. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Yeah,
the only thing about the control, I suppose, is that Liverpool at 3-1 up, they could have gone 4-1. They had chances of, the odd moment with VAR. It just, Villa that tiredness was beginning to set in. And it was a mistake from Alexis McAllister, who's usually pretty immaculate. And the finish from Duran was absolute beauty. I mean, you don't often beat Alisson from distance. Well, I say from distance, it was outside the box, of course. But I mean, he had a bit of time and whatnot to steady himself. But it was a stunning finish from Duran. And I think not only was it the sheer fact that it was a goal, I think the manner of the finish suddenly got everybody up for it. When you see the ball smack like that and the net burst, the crowd just came into life. And then the second goal, but it's a piece of good fortune. Let's.
What did you make of that thing? What did you make of that third goal? Because it's really weird to work out what actually happened to start with.
Yeah, I mean,
Tom Hanks was absolutely loving it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I don't think he knew what was going on.
But Hanks expects the unexpected. You know what I mean?
It looked like it might have come off John Duran's Sheriff Woody at one point. Come right off as Captain Phillips.
Oh dear.
I thought to myself, he's banged that straight in with his Private Ryan's.
There we go. What was the one called? Was it Sully? No, it didn't really work. Anyway,
It's the sad name of a film.
It was, right off the Philadelphia. Is what I thought. Yeah.
spread a lovely spread of Philadelphia off on that ball with his thigh.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, Alisson, when that happens and he just rooted to the spot, that shows
you can't do anything. There's nothing he can do.
Exactly, and that
no one knows what to do with that.
Because Alisson proves yet again, not that he needs any more proof. Minutes later, why he's the best. A stunning save to make sure Liverpool don't lose the game. But when you see Alisson basically just go, what am I to do with that? That's when you know that it's a bit of good fortune. And it was the equaliser, and Emery was loving it. I mean, he got booked at one point for
he's on the pitch, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a great way to end the home season at Villa Park, because they're away to Palace on the last day of the season. But I think Villa have had a brilliant time in the Premier League this season. There's no doubt about that. They are odds on now to get that fourth Champions League spot. They've had a good run in Europe. It was a shame how it ended, but still a semi-final. Again, you get a taste of the biscuit, and the way they're going, you'd think. Well, I mean, obviously they'll be in European competition next season, but the way they're going, you think this is exactly what this club has been crying out for many, many years. It wasn't that long ago they were in the Championship. Wasn't that long ago that a Jack Grealish goal at West Ham, was it? And other results keep them up from the Premier League. Look at them now. They're a massive club with great history and great tradition there. Emery has turned things around enormously. And I'm excited what they're going to do next season. But just in the context of this game, as I say, it puts a spring in everybody's step. It's a great send-off for this season at Villa Park. There's one game to play. But I just thought it was... I was pleased for them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
to get that equalising goal.
I tipped Villa to finish in the top four at the start of the season, chiefly because I rate Emery so highly.
It's a big tip, that.
He's I can provide proof for those listening who think I'm just full of shit. I mean, for the record, I am full of shit, but that is genuinely true. It's because of Emery I chose. I liked what he was doing. You could see what they were trying to build at Villa. And, you mentioned Jack Grealish. I mean, did you mention Jack Grealish? Or did I just think that?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Jack Grealish. I wouldn't be massively surprised. If they finished in Champions League, I wouldn't be massively surprised to see him be back there at some point.
That'd be a story, wouldn't it?
Well, given he's not had a great time of it, you can't really, if you're the age you are and you're the quality of a player you are, you can't really be having too many seasons like the one he's just had. I mean, at Man City, I mean, it's not a Calvin Phillips situation, but it's not a million miles from that. And players do suffer at Man City if they're not playing all the time. And Guardiola's obviously a very strong character in that regard.
If you were Emery, if you were Emery, would you be saying, "Come on, Jack, you've got your treble. Now get back here."
You've played under the imposter Spanish coach. Come and see the real deal. You want to win a cup competition? You come see me. I just think that it's a really interesting situation if they do finish in the top four, because it makes it like what's possible next season becomes very, very interesting indeed. And it's in their hands still. They've got to go to Crystal Palace. I didn't think. Listen, at the 85th minute of this game tonight, I thought to myself, there's no chance they're going to go to Crystal Palace and get anything. I mean, Palace have been resurgent. They've been good. It'll be a carnival atmosphere at Palace because they've had such a good end to the season. They'll be super excited about what can come next year under Glasner. They're an enthusiastic bunch, to say the least, anywhere. So let's Park. I mean, it's always a credible atmosphere down there, and it will be on the final day. It's hard to see Villa getting anything out of it. It's still kind of hard. But the belief they'll get from that tonight may make it slightly more likely. But it's an absolutely delicious situation, Spurs and Man City tomorrow night. I mean, that is incredible. Before I get on to that, I just wanted to say that I thought John McGinn got a huge amount of treatment today. He was battered all over from pillar to post, and I thought to myself, get that man off for some chips. Get him some chips as soon as possible, because he was complaining to the referee the treatment he was getting. He was getting battered. At one point, he had his whole rib cage rearranged.
But he loves it though. Stick the arse into them, John. You'll be all
Oh,
right.
lovely. And I also want to say as well that Jarrell Quansah's header was amazing.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Might I say it was 2009 Champions League final Messi-esque?
Yeah, and the Messi Champions League final header came just minutes after the late great Terry Venables said on punditry at half time, I think it was, let them cross the ball in the way like Lionel Messi's never scoring a headed goal even with a top hat on, and he scored one. It was incredible. I'm sure that happened. Someone should go and find the punditry of that because that was amazing.
Yeah,
I think it was more towering than that because Quansah's a much more towering figure, isn't he?
Yeah, I look. I get what Eltel was saying, but a top hat would be unhelpful if you were trying to head the ball.
Well, I suppose if it's a top hat that's fixed to your head securely and it's made of a firm substance that's not going to buckle after being hit with the ball, I think it's a reasonable point, isn't it?
I suppose so. That's why they used to always bring Abraham Lincoln up for corners. From what I heard.
It's like the old stovepipe. It's not a top hat, it's a stovepipe. Important distinction.
Up yours. So, before we move on to that situation with Tottenham, little word on Liverpool, if we may, because they played their part. In the words of Alan Pardew, they played their part.
In the words of former winner of Premier League Manager of the Year, Alan Pardew.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
They'll be disappointed that they haven't won the game. But I mean, the guaranteed third, they knew that for a while. So I suppose for them to try and really, I suppose, get up for it is about, having that integrity, that professionalism, and obviously playing for Klopp. But they did look good. And Mo Salah, it's interesting with Salah. He played well against Villa, don't get me wrong, but the Salah of last year, or even the Salah of the first few months of the season, I think would have probably scored 2 goals tonight with the space and time he had in some moments. I'm not saying he missed sitters or anything, but I think he just makes more of the time and the space he has in that Villa final third.
Yeah, he didn't really. I mean, I think he only had one shot. Just looking at the stats now, I think he only had one shot in total.
His general play was good.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the issue isn't that, and the issue is like with Liverpool, they just seem so unreliable in front of goal. Like it's not just Nunez who came on, of course. It's Diaz is a bit like that as well, a bit unpredictable, which can be a strength because you don't want to be predictable going forward, but you have to be consistent with your finishing, and they haven't been that. And it's been a season that will go down as obviously Jurgen Klopp's final season. It's been a good season. They've solidified their position back up into the top 4 because of course they finished 5th last year. It's been one of those in-between seasons because sometimes with Liverpool they go hell for leather. Like a couple of seasons ago they came second in the league and obviously won the cup double. They've obviously won the league with 99 points a few years ago. They were 97 points, I think the year before that came second. They've been right up there, but then they are capable of having these kind of off seasons, and last season was one of those. This season hasn't been that, but they flirted with it. But I just don't think, given the transition nature and the traditional nature and the players that have come in and the players that have gone, it was that realistic that they were going to win the league. I think they almost did enough to win this game. My overall reaction in this episode of Ramble Reacts is that they ceded their shape. They lost their shape when their subs came on. And Klopp made so many of those subs, presumably because he thought he just wanted to see the game out, and they wasn't able to do that. Again, it's been a good season for them. I think the thing they would be, the big disappointment for them will be the Atalanta thing in the Europa League, because I think it was absolutely realistic. Yeah. They could have ended the season winning that Europa League. I thought to myself, my honest opinion about them in the Europa League would have been, they'll probably come up against Leverkusen at some point, and that'll be a coin flip, and they might get through it. I didn't expect them to go out to Atalanta the way they did, and that'll be the thing that will stick in the craw for Klopp, because I don't think he's won the Europa League with Liverpool, has he? So no. It would have been a huge send off for him, and something that he could have really hung his hat on. Now is going to be a farewell game against Wolves on Sunday, and it'll be emotional for everyone. And he's been an amazing manager for them, like one of their all-time greats, of course. But it could have been a bit more. But that doesn't mean to say they haven't had a good season.
Well, get the League Cup out. You got that.
True. True.
Give that a little.
I mean, I forgot about that when I was doing that little thing there. So I mean, I'm not sure that's necessarily going to be front and centre.
He said that was the best trophy win he'd had at the club. So come on, have a bit of respect.
Fair enough. Maybe Liverpool fans agree. I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I couldn't comment on that. But
give it a whiz round the pitch.
Yeah, they've won that a fair few times, haven't they? I mean.
So yeah, well, Liverpool will finish third. We've known that for a while in the Premier League. Now let's turn our attention to tomorrow night's match, because Spurs now must win against Manchester City, and of course win against already relegated conceder of 101 goals this season, the Premier League, Sheffield United.
They've waited too long to use their Sheffield United voucher. Imagine, is it a Spurs situation? Is it a Spursy situation for them to have a Sheffield United voucher in their mitt and be able to beat them about 7-0 and it not count for anything?
Yeah, but this is an interesting one, because I think Arsenal fans obviously wanted Aston Villa to lose tonight, because the idea that the Champions League spot is there for Spurs, if they can beat Man City and of course surely beat Sheffield United. A draw, it's still kind of the same. It increases Aston Villa's chances of clinching it, of course, because now they're 5 points ahead. But as you say, Villa have got to go away to Crystal Palace. Now, a draw for Villa, you would think would be fine, because even if Spurs won both games, they've got a better goal difference. The fly in the ointment is, as you said to me earlier, that Man City are a much better team than Spurs, because they're the best team in the league. But Spurs do have a choice to make here. Now, obviously, the Tottenham fans, I mean, I know a few Spurs fans that were like, we'd much rather get Europa League and Arsenal finish second. But they don't run the club. I can't imagine Daniel Levy and Ange Postecoglou would choose Europa League football ahead of Champions League football.
With that kind of take, they shouldn't be running the club either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I understand that the atmosphere will be quite strange in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tomorrow evening. But surely they have to go for it, because the chance of a Champions League spot is there. I understand what the fans are saying. I get it. But if you're Levy, if you're Postecoglou, the other coaches, and even the players themselves, you've got a chance that, it's a slight chance now, but it's still potentially there.
It is. The situation, though, is that Manchester City are firing on all cylinders and are absolutely desperate to win the Premier League again, because they're machines. And if you look at their record in the Premier League this season, is absolutely. I mean, it's a huge testament that Arsenal have been able to stay with them and actually stay ahead of them for this long. Man City haven't lost a game in the Premier League since the 6th of December, right? And they are flying, right? Yeah. It is quite quaint to suggest that that Tottenham have got a choice to make. I mean, I get what you mean, but I think Manchester City might have a big say in that themselves. However,
ultimately the choice remains. The choice will remain with them.
Yeah. However, though, Spurs' record against Man City at that stadium is a good one. It's an interesting anomaly, I think, because Man City have consistently been a much better team than Spurs over however many years. But that record, it does exist there, and that's why I say it's a delicious situation, because realistically speaking, if they beat Man City tomorrow night, and I want to make this clear because there'll be people out there who don't watch football as much as us and don't care as much about these permutations as we do. If Spurs beat Man City tomorrow, Arsenal just need to beat Everton at home to win the league. You'd expect them to do that. Everton are safe. They've had a really good run actually recently. I mean, that makes it even more delicious actually, because if Spurs beat Man City, then Arsenal pile in against Everton at home on the final day. That is like maximum drama.
Everton have got a fantastic defensive record this season. I think they're the fourth best.
Can you imagine it? Can you imagine Arsenal
knocking on the
not
door,
able to break them down for like 90 minutes, and there's just tears in the hummus everywhere?
Reece Nelson comes on, gets the winner.
Breadsticks are getting snapped over everyone's knees. I look, from Spurs' point of view, this is a completely neutral point I'm going to make, and it's nothing. I don't have a vested interest in either club. You
go to Spurs a lot, so to be fair, you pop up there every now and then. So
I do.
You're saying this in a sort of a friendly manner.
I've been to both Spurs and Arsenal on more than one occasion this season, right?
You're very popular in both places.
As I say to everyone who complains about my potential bias on X, formerly known as Twitter, I hate all of you absolute cunts exactly the same. And I'm not just talking about Arsenal or Spurs there. Yeah. Any other team.
You're talking about my family and me.
No. What I would say is this. If you're Spurs, you have to concentrate on yourselves. You have to see this as a process. The same way. So when Emery were talking about Villa getting knocked out by Olympiacos in the Conference League, and I think he was expected to be disappointed. I'm sure he was disappointed, but he said, "Look, we're in a process. That's part of the journey. We're trying to build something here." And Ange Postecoglou has said the same. Yeah. Ange Postecoglou will want to manage Spurs in the Champions League. That's as simple as it gets. I can imagine him being so straight talking in the press conferences, saying, or the post matches, or the pre matches, or whatever, saying, "Look, it's about us. It's not about them."
Yeah.
The fact is, it won't feel like this, but it's just got to be said. If Spurs beat Man City tomorrow night and Arsenal go on to win the league, Arsenal will not be winning the league because Spurs beat Man City. That'll be the narrative, but that's one game of 38 games. It's going to be a far bigger story than that, and this is not the same as Spurs handing Arsenal a league. That'll be the easy headline to be given, but they have to approach it like, we need to win and give ourselves the best chance, because if they win tomorrow night, they'd go 2 points behind Villa. They've got a chance. All of a sudden, they've got a massive chance, because Villa aren't in any way stick-ons to beat Palace. They're not even any way to get a point.
And the Spurs-Sheffield United games, it's a given, let's be honest.
However, here's the problem, I think. Spurs haven't really shown themselves in recent weeks to be capable of really keeping anyone out, and they've arguably not been capable of that all season, to be honest. And if you look across the last 6 games, even the win against Burnley, they looked defensively very, very poor. I was at the Arsenal game; they were, they weren't necessarily that bad, but they couldn't stop Arsenal scoring. Like, Arsenal didn't even need to be good, and they went 3-0 up. Against Liverpool, they only started playing when they're 4-0 down. You can't do that against Man City. And they got whooped by Newcastle. So they're in no kind of form themselves. This is not a situation that Man City are in where they're just hitting their straps and they're flying. So I don't know how much of a say they'll have tomorrow, because City could just blow them to pieces. But this isn't about Arsenal for Spurs, and they shouldn't see it that way. I know it's easy for me to say, but they genuinely shouldn't see it that way.
Well, if they fail to beat Manchester City, then Aston Villa will be confirmed as the fourth English side in the Champions League next season. As John McGinn said, we'll get the Man City tops on tomorrow and see what happens. So good luck to everybody.
The stuff you were saying earlier today about Kai Havertz and his post-match comments. We'll be the biggest Spurs fans ever and stuff. I thought, well, that's a little bit much.
Yeah. Careful, because you don't want to poke the badger there.
I thought he was going to diplomatically kind of swerve that one. Yeah, and poke the badger's not a saying.
I poke the badger, not the bear.
Yeah.
They're not the bear. Man City are the bear.
Fair. Okay. I thought it was just more of a British way of doing it. Don't poke the badger, he might have TB.
Yeah, exactly. But he won't have rabies, because we don't have that on this island.
Eradicated it, thankfully.
Well done to everybody involved on that.
Seriously,
effort.
If you've made a conscious contribution to the eradication of rabies on this sceptred isle, this show's for you. This episode's for you.
Absolutely right.
Tom Hanks, do a film about it.
Damn right. Now, after tonight's game, this is officially the second highest scoring Premier League season that has ever existed, behind the 92-93 season. Now, there was obviously more games in that one, so slight anomaly there.
Oh, yeah.
But there needs to be 23 goals before the end of the season to be the highest scoring season. It could happen. Tottenham Hotspur beat Man City and rack those goals up against Sheffield United.
Sheffield United, can you hear me? Do you want to make yet more history this season? 23 goals. So tomorrow night there could be a few. There's another game Wednesday night. There'll be a few there. And all it needs is Sheffield United to do their thing. And history has been made. It's fly a banner over Bramall Lane.
I'd love you to say that. I'd love it. We were the main part of this.
They should put 108 plaques up around Bramall Lane, one for every goal they're going to concede this season.
And in time, 115 at Man City. Would you say that if Chris Wilder was in the room? Would we having that?
I'm not frightened of Chris Wilder.
While you're eating a sandwich?
Yeah, I'll make the point, and when he's about to respond, I just whip the ham and cheese out. Start munching.
No, you'd make the point while eating. That would annoy him more.
Actually, I'll put a lot of crisps in there, like a really loud sandwich, so I'm crunching as well.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of a crisp sandwich. Terrible consistency, but I know people are mad for it.
No, I think it works well. I'm not actually frightened of Chris Wilder, and I'll tell you why. He looks hard, but anyone who can show such a lack of organisation.
He can't organise his fists? What are you saying?
I just don't think I just think he'd turn up late for the fight or something.
Is that right?
Yeah.
He'd concede a lot of punches. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he would go down afterwards.
Yeah, he would absolutely go down.
Could be straight back up. No, you got to be careful.
He'd go down and then blame everyone else.
Yeah. There we are. Well, what a way to finish, everybody. Luke Moore imagining a fight between him and Chris Wilder. Thank you very much.
I don't want to fight him. I just say I'm not frightened of him.
Okay.
I don't think you should be frightened of him either, Marcus.
Well, not if you're in the room.
If Man City are the bear and who someone else is the badger, what's Chris Wilder?
Could we say he's the owl? Because that's their
little Jack
rivals.
Russell, isn't he?
Sheffield, yeah. He's the little Jack Russell. Right, thank you very much for listening to the Football Ramble, part of the Acast Creator Network. Do join myself.
He's brought rabies back to Britain. Chris Wilder, that's his lasting legacy. He's brought rabies back to Britain, and we're all going to suffer. We've all got lockjaw. None of the commentators are going to commentate next season because they've got lockjaw because Chris Wilder brought rabies back to Britain. Put that in your outro.
Where do I go? Yeah, you, me, Vish, Pete on Wednesday. We're going to be reacting to that Man City game.
We'll do live rabies tests on the show.
We'll do all that. Don't worry about that. But in the meantime, you can find us on X, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Football Ramble. Do follow us on Spotify. And on X right now, you can find photos of Jim and me on the pitch at Craven Cottage. I would like to say quite a number of people have been asking, had I taken my shoes off for the photo? Was I wearing my socks? Suede obviously looks like socks from afar.
I've got a load of points to make on that. One, you shouldn't be wearing suede shoes.
Why not?
I just don't think, especially not on a watered pitch, because suede doesn't react very well to damp.
It wasn't on a watered pitch.
Secondly, someone genuinely but the pitch is going to be watered. It's just been played on.
Yeah, but it was a sunny day by then.
Oh, right. And someone actually genuinely suggested that you had taken your shoes off before you got on the pitch out of respect to the surface.
Yeah, those footballers constantly disrespected it. They wear studs, for crying out loud.
Funny. I thought you looked great. It's a shame you couldn't be in the goal itself, I'm afraid. But
yeah, that was a bit disappointing. So, yeah, we did file a complaint about that to Fulham Football Club, but there we are.
Yeah, see what comes out of that.
But we thank them from the bottom of our hearts for letting us on the pitch.
Yeah.
But next time, a little bit earlier, last 5 minutes.
Well,
okay.
I thought that when people said you'd been on the pitch, I thought it was everyone went on the pitch, but it was just you guys.
No, it was a private.
Private function. Did you hire it?
A private pitch invasion between Jim and I.
Yeah, very polite.
Yeah,
very real
we
class.
are. Yeah, indeed, absolutely. That's it, everybody. Go well. Lots of love. See you soon.
See you later.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.